Hey y'all, it's Tim Miller from the Bulwark. Breaking news from my pal Andrew Feinberg at The Independent. The Bob Woodward book has some very troubling and important reveals from the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Mark Milley, and his interviews with Woodward. I should also note that we've got Bob Woodward right here on the Bulwark podcast coming up on Thursday, so look forward to chatting this all through with him. But I want to share the revelations with you guys right now. Apparently this began when Woodward approached Milley at a reception in D.C., one of those, I guess it was one of those Georgetown cocktail parties I don't get invited to. And it was Milley that was the one who went to Woodward first and said, "We got to talk." He went on to say that no one has ever been as dangerous to the country as Donald Trump. He asked Woodward, do you see what this man is? Woodward and Milley had a relationship because he had been a source for his previous book, Peril. And at the time, Milley had said that he had a glimpse of Trump's true nature. But that had evolved in the period since he had last spoken to Woodward. He goes on, "I had suspicions when I talked to you about his mental decline and so forth. But now I realize he's a total fascist. He is now the most dangerous person to the country. A fascist to the core," Milley repeated. It's important to just sit with this for a second. Like, this is not, some wild-eyed never-Trumper. This is not somebody who gets emotional. It's not an emotional wreck. This is somebody that has achieved a lot. Somebody's seen a lot of evil in his time in the military. Someone that understands about the importance of the country and the institutions. Someone who has a nuanced view of the world, right? You don't become the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff by being hyperbolic or by having a meltdown, having an anxiety attack over things that aren't that big of a deal, right? You have to be level-headed to achieve the role of chairman of the Joint Chiefs. And so when Milley says this, it's not just like a pundit. It's not just like a YouTuber popping off. This is a considered view. It's a view that he came to over years. And it is a sharp warning to the country that this man cannot be elected, that the stakes are too high, the risk is too high. Now, Milley's kind of gone there before. You might have seen this clip, but he did so kind of obliquely. And I think that I've always given Milley a little bit more of a pass than the other generals, the other Trump generals, because unlike Mattis and Kelly, McMaster, Milley stayed in a military role the whole time. I had some beefs with Milley. I think the way he behaved in Lafayette Square was incorrect. He's copped to that. Humans make mistakes. But he stayed in a military role the whole time. And so, and I do think that there's good reason, and a lot of people who I respect that have deep military experience and insights, have cautioned me that I should just calm down a little bit about my demands. Like, we don't want to go to a place where military figures are saving us, right? That takes you to a different type of dark place than Trump, right? We're not looking for military coups in this country. We want the military to be separate from politics. So I've felt like Milley has acted and spoken out about as much as he could up to this point. So I did not put him in the category with the other generals who got into politics. They made a choice. Like, once you make a choice to become a political advisor to Donald Trump, or to take a civilian role as the head of the Department of Defense, like the whole "oh, I'm a military person, I can't weigh in" excuse rings a little hollow. So with Milley, he's told people what he thinks. I mean, if you're paying attention, like, he's obliquely made this point, and you may have seen this video because it's shown up in some Kamala Harris ads. But I want to play the video of Milley talking about the wannabe dictator.
We don't take an oath to a tribe. We don't take an oath to a religion. We don't take an oath to a king or a queen or to a tyrant or a dictator. And we don't take an oath to a wannabe dictator. We don't take an oath to an individual. We take an oath to the Constitution, and we take an oath to the idea that it's America, and we're willing to die to protect it. Every soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, Guardian, and Coast Guardsman, each of us commits our very life to protect and defend that document, regardless of personal price.
So not subtle, not exactly subtle about who he's talking about. And you can feel that rage in his voice, the anger. We don't bow down to a wannabe dictator. I like that rage because I feel it. It resonates with me. And so Milley, I think at this point, some of this is, I think, a trust with Woodward and a trust that Woodward is a serious journalist and that these conversations are going to be in the context of a journalistic enterprise rather than a campaign commercial. But I think it's telling that he felt the need to do it, right? Because it's not as if people didn't know what he thought. He was out there. But this is a step further. This is participating in a journalistic project and saying, people need to know. Americans need to know. Donald Trump is a danger. He's a fascist, and he's the most dangerous person to this country. It is not worth the risk. There's no other way to see that, except for Milley just imploring and begging people to pay attention, to listen, to open their ears. I'm grateful that he's doing it. It will be interesting to see the fallout over the next few weeks, because of that tension between being a military person and not. And it will be interesting to see if this increases or ratchets up the pressure on Trump's more political generals to join Milley in being more clear-eyed, more blunt in their assessment of Trump and their message to the nation about how this man must be stopped because the risks are too high. It's flat out. Doesn't matter if you're a conservative, doesn't matter if you don't like Kamala Harris's policies. It's just the risk to a Kamala Harris presidency with a Republican Senate is just very small. There just isn't really much real risk to the country. There's some things will end up being better or worse, like in any other administration, but it pales in comparison to having a man who was Donald Trump's top general, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, saying that he's the most dangerous person to the country. Thanks to General Mark Milley for his service and for this warning. We will continue to keep you posted on all of the things as this campaign presses forward. Make sure to subscribe to the feed, tell your friends about the Bulwark YouTube feed, and we'll be seeing you all soon. Peace.